He leads us all the way, playing proper football, the Sheffield United way. Ale, ale, ale. Ale, ale, ale. Ale, ale, ale.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sheffield United way. How are we all doing out there? I am absolutely buzzing because this is my last day at work before the 6th of Jan. That's when I go back. So I'm in a stupendous mood. So happy New Year, Blades fans, because this is the last time I'm going to speak to you. Before the festivities. Obviously, we're playing this game on New Year's Day, so I can say it properly when we do the match reaction for Leicester City. So, I'm back to preview another game. It feels like only yesterday when I was coming live in your ears, talking about Stoke City and the demolition of Stoke City. No, it really wasn't. It really wasn't, was it? Yeah, let's talk about Leicester City just for a second, because they have been stupidly inconsistent, just like us. Looking at their last 5 games, they've won 2, drawn 1, and lost 2. Sound familiar? But before we get into that, let's go back to talking about Stoke City for a second, as we managed to withstand about a 20-minute-ish worth of siege on our goal, shall we say. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it was lots of throw-ins, lots of corners, not a lot of intricate passes and cutting through, as it was mostly get the ball down the wing to Sorba Thomas to try and create something, or just lump balls into the box. And that's not how we do things these days at Sheffield United. But it's good that we withstood that onslaught, because for the most part we were fantastic in this game, especially in that first half. Lots and lots of great, as I said, intricate bits of play between Callum O'Hare, between Cannon, Campbell, Brooks, even Soumare getting involved. And Soumare had a really good game in this one as well, didn't he? But yeah, other than that bit of a siege on our goal, I think we did really, really well, and it was pretty comfortable for the most part. From the game, positives, the fact that we started well again. We seem to be starting well in practically every game. And, it took until the early parts of the second half to actually score those goals, but we did. We got those goals. They put us into pole position again in the game. And this time we didn't implode. Also, good games for Harrison Burrows, Soumare, Cannon, and Bindon as well. Bindon seems to be very up and down right now, but hopefully in this game he's going to be up, because I'm sure he will be playing centre-back yet again. Negatives, I would say that when Mark Robbins changed the team, the personnel and the system, we didn't cope with that very well. And I think it wasn't for the red card, I think that they'd have, put us under a lot more pressure for that sort of 10 to 15 minutes more, and you never know, it could have ended 2-2 or even worse. So, but it doesn't matter, does it? We won the game 2-1, and that's a double over Stoke, as I said last night in my match reaction. Make sure you go and watch it. But before we get into talking about this game on New Year's Day, I want to give a huge shout out to the guys at IPM Group, who are South Yorkshire's experts in security, CCTV, and facilities management. If you want to learn more about IPM Group, go over to ipmgroupuk.com. Also, if you're heading to Bramall Lane, why not visit Panenka Bar and Grill to take in the pre-match atmosphere and hopefully a Blades win. Oh, and to see the Sheffield United away boys too, obviously. So Sheffield United versus Leicester City is a 5:30 p.m. kickoff on Sky Sports again. I don't like us playing on Sky Sports. I feel like we don't play as well on Sky Sports, but maybe that's just my brain telling me that. And there's not a lot to go on other than my brain, which is never good. It's at Bramall Lane, obviously. And since we beat Leicester at the King Power, both teams' form, as I mentioned earlier, has been very inconsistent. But after a win for both teams last night, morale has got to be high in both camps. So let's see what happens in this game. Blades team news, first and foremost, that is sponsored by our friend and yours, Shazbat Designs, our very own Blades pyrographer. She's a big supporter of the channel, and we love her so. So go and check her out and drop her an email if you want something very, very special for the new year. shazbatdesigns@hotmail.co.uk. So let's talk about players that are out first and foremost. So players still out: Tom Davis, Sidney Peck, Ben Mee, Cheog Bene, and that's about it. It doesn't seem like anybody else has taken a knock as of yet. One thing I wanted to mention was the fact that Gus Harmer didn't even get on the pitch in the last game. And that worries me very slightly. It makes me think that Gus isn't 100% because when we had, them throwing balls into the box, an out ball would have been nice. And Gus Harmer is a fantastic out ball. He's got, pace for days, even though he doesn't look like it. He's very good on the ball, very good at keeping the ball. And I felt like when we made that substitution last night to try and counteract their substitution, Gus should have been one of those coming on. I know he was running down the sidelines, warming up. That's maybe just one thing to look out for because I've put him in my predicted team because I want to see Gus on the pitch in this game. But it did just worry me very, very slightly. So I've gone for Michael Cooper in goal, Femi Sariki right back, obviously, Tanganga and Bindon at centre back. I thought Bindon had a good game, and I'm hoping he has another good game. McCallum I've gone for at left back. The reason why I've gone for that is because even though Burrows played well, Burrows hasn't played a lot of 90 minutes this season. Obviously, playing 90 minutes in the last, or 97, 8, 9, whatever you want to call it, from last night. And then having to play only a few days later, I think Wilder might bring McCallum back in. And let's be honest, McCallum's had a really good season. So, he might have just had an off game against Wrexham. Then in the midfield, even though Sumare played well, I would probably bring Arblaster back into this game. Arblaster and Riedewald. Hopefully, Riedewald is okay. He went down a couple of times with cramp, and we all know that cramp, you get over it pretty quickly. Hopefully, it's nothing more than just cramp. And then I'm battling between what I would go for and what I feel like Chris Wilder would go for here. So I've got a bit of both. I want to see Harmer back in this team. I want to see O'Hare play as well. I want them to strike up a partnership like they did at the beginning of last season. And because it seems like you play one or the other at this moment in time. So Harmer off the left, Chong off the right, I think that Wilder will go for. I'd rather Brooks here because he does the defensive work really well and he seems to be playing really well himself. So I think that in the last game against Stoke, he was doubled up on quite a lot. Practically all the first half he was doubled up on, and they left Callum O'Hare on the left to kind of roam around on the left and into the midfield, which I found odd because Callum O'Hare practically created everything for us. But I want to see Brooks play most weeks. I want to see us play him into form, see him score goals, see him create goals. And I'd like to see Brooks in this team. However, I think Chong will play in this game. That's what Chris Wilder seems to be going with at the moment. And then Bamford up from on his own, because I think that worked really, really well against Wrexham, especially in the first half, and against Birmingham too. Even though I thought the lads played quite well last night, I thought that I just like Bamford up front on his own with 3 creating stuff for him. There we go. Sam's put thought Sumare played really well first half, dropped off in the second half, which seems to be a common theme with him. I think you're absolutely right, Sam. I do think that because it might just be down to fitness and match fitness, to be honest. He's a young lad, but he's also not played a lot of 90 minutes for us this season. So maybe that's the reason why he dropped off. Andy said, I went to Stoke. Great win, played well. United 3-1 versus Leicester. Let's hope so, Andy. Let's hope so. So let's move into. Oh, we've got another one. Jonathan Bruce. Nice to see you, Jonathan. Thank you very much for joining. Quite often chats to me on the South Stand when we get a chance. Last match before transfer window, so time for players to show their worth. Absolutely, that is, the players have got to be thinking about that, and they've had to be thinking about this for a month at least, especially the ones that are on loan, because I'm sure Tyler Binden, a month ago or a month and a half ago, probably didn't expect that he'd get this game time. He probably thought he was going back to Forest. So we'll have to wait and see. It's an interesting one. Um, so I think Wilder will play his best team in this game. And I think that Wilder thinks that what I've just said is his best team or the best team he could put out right now. Because I think that Peck would probably be in there and Ben Mee would be in there if it was his full best side. But obviously, Cannon might get a start, scored a goal, looked really well. And I think he actually played well because he was playing against Stoke. Quite often, I think Campbell's, especially against Stoke, not talking about, the last game, but Campbell seems to try too hard against Stoke. Um, and Cannon seemed to try hard, and it actually seemed to work out for him. So I was really happy for Cannon to get that goal. It was a really well taken goal as well. And I was quite impressed with his performance all in all. Let's get into talking about Leicester's team news now. And I wrote this all earlier on, so I'm going to be reading it verbatim from my spreadsheets. If my eyes are down there, that's the reason I wrote all this. Yeah, if it's wrong, it's my fault. But obviously, I'm not going to remember all of Leicester's information off by heart. So Leicester come to the lane as a real mixed bag. They managed to scrape a 2-1 win over Derby yesterday. But before that, they were leaking goals for fun, including a 4-1 thumping of QPR. They had a bit of a back-to-back, defeats in the 4-1 away at QPR and then at home to Watford too, which, Watford shouldn't be going to, I'm going to say Filbert Street then. I've always got the really old stadiums locked up here, but the King Power, and they shouldn't be going there and winning games of football. So I think the fact that they got that win last night against Derby will do wonders for their confidence because they must be all over the place. We're flip flopping constantly, thinking one week we're going up, next week we're getting relegated. So I can't imagine how Leicester are thinking, especially just coming down from the Premier League last season with the riches that comes with the Premier League and parachute payments. So they're technically a top half side, but they've struggled for consistency, as I've just mentioned, under Marty Cifuentes. By the way, I learned how to say that earlier on this season, so I think that I'm pronouncing it flawlessly now. And we'll probably be hit with a big points deduction before the season is up. They still want to play out from the back, but their defense is definitely there for the taking. If we can get stuck into them early, much like we did in that 3-2 win at their place in November, and we did, didn't we? Obviously, we scored 2 goals after about 3 minutes, something like that. The big boost for us is that their squad is absolutely decimated. They've lost Patson Daka to the AFCON, and their midfield is in crisis after Hamza Chowdhury and Aaron Ramsey both hobbled off in their last game. I know Chowdhury tends to play at right back, so we'll probably see Pereira playing there, but we'll get into that in a second. With Suter, obviously, we all know Harry Suter, Christensen, and their Soumare, not our Soumare, also sidelined. They're arriving with a threadbare bench. Can't even say that. If Wilder sets us up to do a high press for their makeshift middle, I think there's a big chance that we could start 2026, absolutely flying because we saw what happened at their place. We saw that if you really go for them, especially now, they've got even more injuries because before we haven't talked about Harry Winks as well. Harry Winks should be out in this game, but I'll go into a bit of a predicted 11 now. So the goalkeeper, Jacob Stolar, yeah, I don't know how to say his name. He recently regained his spot back from Asmir Begovic, even though he was the goalkeeper between the sticks with those two sort of back-to-back defeats. Ricardo Pereira playing right back, as I mentioned earlier. I think we expect that to happen with Hamza Chowdhury being out. I think they're only playing Hamza there because they've been playing poorly, and they're trying to, try everyone in their squad in different positions because they've been so bad. Like, there's no way Ricardo Pereira in the Championship should be on the bench. He should be a Premier League footballer. Then there's four centre backs that they could choose from. They've got Ben Nelson and Caleb Okole, who both played in the last game against Derby. However, there's obviously Yannick Vestergaard, who could play in this game, might be injured, might not be. And then there's also Wout Fass, who is speculated to be leaving Leicester. So I don't know whether they are using that they're kind of keeping him out of the side because they're expected to sell him, or whether he's just been bombed out of the squad because he's a bad egg or whatever. So the centre back straight away, Nelson and Okole, straight away, I'd rather see them than see Fass and Vestergaard, even though they might be playing better than him. At left back, we've got somebody that we all know really well, Luke Thomas. And if Victor Christensen was in fact fit, he wouldn't be playing at left back. It would be Christensen. So that's another player that isn't one of their first choice left backs apparently. Jordan James is their danger man at the moment. He's in great form. He obviously scored against us, the one where it kind of wobbled in the air and Michael Cooper didn't know where to go, and it obviously went past him straight down the middle. But he also scored the winner against Derby as well, which they're all buzzing about. Oliver Skip in there as well. He'll be on big money, but he'll be tasked with kind of like the heavy lifting in that midfield with the absence of Soumare. Then in the last game, this is what I think they're going to go for again. Bobby De Cordova-Reid, I like him. I think he's really good, and he's probably going to be playing in that sort of attacking midfield role, just off the striker, which is Jordan Ayew, I assume, because Patson Daka is away on AFCON duty. And then the wings is Fatawu and Mavididi. Obviously, both of those two, lots of pace, lots of creativity, very scary at times. And, they're one of these teams that they could do something really silly, like give us 2 goals really early in the game, or 3 goals, because obviously it was Peck scored that absolute screamer 20-30 minutes into the game and we're 3-0 up. So they're a team that can really kind of give you goals, but also they're very exciting going forward, or for us, not very exciting because we don't want to see that at all. So let's bring up some comments on screen, see what you guys are thinking before we get into the ref watch. I hate this, but I've actually done a section on the ref this time. So, you got that to come. So I went to Stoke, great win. We've had that one already. We'll put on another one. Let's have a little look. Who's that good-looking fella? Oh, thank you. I don't know who you're talking about, but thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Cad Suff will be pleased when me returns. Me will return. Me will be pleased as well. He's been a real big miss in the last few games. However, who's to say that we would have got more points in that time? Thought Soumare played well first half, dropped off in the second half. I think we've been through that one as well. Is Harmer going when the transfer window opens? That's also something to talk about as well. That maybe we're going to do that in a different video. But that's a slight worry, and he could be the reason why he's on the bench and not coming on. Could be a little bit of that, but I can't imagine that's the reason why we would leave him on the bench. He must be have a little niggle, or Wilder must have just thought, you know what, that's not. This is not a game for Gus. I don't know. Harry Souttar, my God, what a player. Hopefully we get him back. I'm certain, unless we get relegated to League One, which I don't think will happen, I'm almost certain that we will sign Harry Souttar back again. I don't feel like I'm not saying this season, it could be at the beginning of next season. I feel like Chris Wilder wants him. We want him as fans. It might also be kind of like the Brayford thing, where you really want someone back that you've had on loan and then they end up not being as good. And who knows? That might end up happening because of that terrible, terrible injury that he suffered. Agree with Sumare comment. Maybe play Arblast the first half, then swap for Sumare to add more defensive bite second half when we're 3 up. Love that. Love that. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think it's a good shout that. I think we need Arblaster in their first half and then Sumare second half would be a really good idea. Thought their defense was a liability in the reverse fixture. It really was. Their defense can't be as bad as this time. Surely not. The squad's full of talent and experience. They should be doing better. Of course, we never know if we're going to turn up or not. But the same goes for Leicester. Don't count them out like us. No, definitely not. Definitely. I think we all know how good Leicester City's, team is, bench is. They're a very, very exciting group of players. Getting into talking about the ref now, the man in the middle for this New Year's Day clash is Farah Hallam. And, he's an official who generally likes to let the game flow, but he won't hesitate to reach for his pocket if things boil over, averaging nearly 4 yellow cards per game in the Championship this season. For Blades fans, we need to be careful with our discipline. Hallam has already overseen 2 of our defeats this season against Ipswich and Preston. Neither of those 2 games are ones that we want to remember, and he handed out several bookings in the process. However, he also took charge of Leicester's 1-1 draw with Portsmouth back in October and wasn't afraid to let the play continue through heavy contact. So, if we get stuck into them early on, I think that we're a slightly more physical team than they are. We need to be giving some of their, better players a bit of a kick early on just to let them know that we're there. Hopefully the rest will take care of themselves. But with a name like Hallam, he's got to be on our side, surely. Now, moving into score predictions, and we are sponsored by Parrot Peel. Parrot Peel is a virtual band, and many of their members are Blades, so check them out at parrotpeel.com. They've got a new album out called Pop Songs Your Mum Would Like. And not just your mum, I like them too. So make sure you go over there and check them out. Now, I'm going to quickly run through some of the predicted score lines from some of our Patreon members, and obviously give you my score prediction too. So here we go. Scott has gone for 2-1 Blades. Paul's gone for 3-1 Blades. Lewis has gone for 3-0 Blades. Bamford, Cannon and O'Hare's gone for. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Blades 2-0. Do a clean sheet, says Richard. Ewan's gone for a 2-2. I went for a 2-2 in last night's game against Stoke City. It could have been 2-0. It could have been, but I'm glad it wasn't. James went for a 1-1. Hal's gone for a 1-0 Blades. Hal of this parish, obviously. Who else is called Hal? Paul has gone for a 4-1. Who knows who it could be? 3-6 that Paul's put. Yeah, in this game, I guarantee there's going to be goals. Ben's gone for a 3-1 Blades win. William's gone for a 0-0 draw. I can't see that happening, William. I can't. Connor's gone for a 3-2 Blades win again. Mel's gone for a 2-1 Blades win. So lots of Blades wins. It's funny how people flip-flap, as you can see on screen, flip-flap from, we're going to lose this game to we're going to win this game. And what it was obviously the win last night that did it, wasn't it? Because I think we all were a little bit dejected going into last night's game after, that horror show at the back against Wrexham. But, we're all back buzzing again, aren't we? Last night, I said in the match reaction, let's just enjoy winning games of football. Let's not think too much about the playoffs. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves because we're going to keep flip-flapping. We're not going to win every game of the season. But games like this are a statement of intent. So hopefully the Blades can get over the line and, do the double over Leicester as we did the double over Stoke City last night. So, yeah, really, really excited. Leicester have been super inconsistent this season. So have we as of late, and it's the battle of the inconsistent teams, isn't it? So yeah, I'm very excited for this one. Hopefully, they're not going to take it to us and absolutely rip through us, because that could happen. That easily could happen with the amount of quality that they've got on the pitch and obviously on the bench too. But we've got our own quality. I'm very excited about the team that we've got, what we're building, and obviously what we're building. Well, let's see what happens in January. That's going to be exciting times too, because I want to see some creative players come through the door as well, and hopefully we keep hold of all the players that we want to keep hold of. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gents, and listening. If you're listening on podcast, uh, Happy New Year. That's all I need to leave you with, because the next time I see you, it will be New Year, and I'll be doing a match reaction to Sheffield United versus Leicester. Thanks for watching, ladies and gents, and I'll catch up with you again very, very soon. Sheffield United way, over and out.
Ollie, ollie, ollie.